What is up, everybody? Shwazy here, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing the bombshell post that Dodge made randomly on a Friday morning. Alright, so if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, this morning, which is Friday, January 12th, Dodge made a somewhat subtle, or I should say surprising and not very subtle, announcement on its social media accounts. And what it did was it dropped a couple photos of a brand new vehicle that seems to be going through some sort of testing or dry runs in some sort of parking lot. And underneath these photos, they have the caption reading, "No cameras or recording devices permitted." And then a couple lines below that, they say, "This is a pre-production model and will be available late 2024. So this is the first time pretty much ever that they've officially announced that they're going to be releasing a model that replaces the Challenger or Charger. And I'm going to throw up the photos that Dodge showed off today in its social media accounts because it's really just surprising. I just didn't expect it at all. They've already announced that they weren't going to come to the Chicago Auto Show. They're not at CES. And so they just made this random announcement on a Friday morning. And now we're just trying to figure out what's going on here. So believe it or not, this appears to be the next generation of the Dodge Charger and Challenger. As I'm sure most of you know, the very last Charger and Challenger in its current form rolled off the assembly line in December of 2023. I think it was December 22nd to be exact. And so we've all been waiting for a while now. I mean, most manufacturers, they'll actually show you what they're going to be producing next before they finish selling the prior model, but Dodge does things a little bit differently. And you know, I've been wondering, I know a lot of my subscribers have been wondering, we've all been just like racking our brain trying to figure out what's coming next. And this is the first time we actually have some sort of an idea. So the model they showed off in the photos looks almost identical to the Dodge Charger Daytona SRT Banshee concept that they showed off in an event in the summer of 2022. So they had this big event back then, and a lot of people were showing off videos of this SRT Banshee concept, and it had this simulated exhaust sound. And in fact, I actually saw this concept model when I went to Las Vegas for the reveal of the Demon 170 event back in March of 2023. They had one of these Banshees sitting out there in the beautiful red color. And honestly, I think it's a great looking vehicle. You know, whatever you have to say about it, that's your personal opinion. To me, I like the way it looks. And the pre-production model they showed off in the images in today's post look very similar to the concept model. Now, I will say it looks a little bit more simplified than the concept, maybe a little bit more normal. And to me, it doesn't look as good as the concept. And I can't really put my finger as to why that is. It may just be the angle of the photos that it just doesn't look as good as the concept, because I've seen the concept pretty much 360 around where I haven't really seen this, you know, pre-production model very well. The other thing is, of course, concept always looks better than reality because they have to abide by certain safety regulations. They have to have door handles, side view mirrors. Those are things mandated for any vehicle driving on the road. And so, you know, obviously the concept car is going to look a little bit better. But honestly, their production model, if it ends up being what they showed off today, is one of the closest looking to a concept car that you can find anywhere. I mean, there's not very many cars that look very similar to their concepts, aside from maybe like the Kia Stinger or something like that. But most of the time, concept cars look so much more outlandish versus reality, whereas in this case, it looks pretty similar. Now, in terms of what this vehicle is, I don't think it's going to be a Challenger. It may be the Charger because that's kind of what the concept was. It was the Charger SRT Banshee. But one little indicator makes me believe that they may call this thing something entirely different. It may just be called the Dodge Daytona, because on the back photo that I found on Instagram of this vehicle in Dodge's teaser shots, you can see Daytona stamped into the bumper. And so to me, that makes me believe that this car isn't going to be even called a Charger or Challenger. It's just going to be the Dodge Daytona or Dodge Daytona SRT. Perhaps the electric model will be called the Charger or something. That's just me speculating. But I don't know if they're going to actually keep the same names that they had in the 2023 model year. But in all honesty, from the back end, it kind of looks like a prior gen Dodge Charger. It looks like the 2014 model year Chargers, because it kind of has this squared off look to the rear end with the taillights. And I think the concept looked a little bit better from the rear end, but it doesn't look bad at all. The other thing you'll notice when you look at the back end is the one that they showed off has no exhaust ports. And that's kind of to be expected, right? A lot of us knew that Dodge was transitioning to the EV world and they were going, you know, full steam ahead on electric vehicles. Since we first heard about Dodge's transition to EV, we've kind of seen a little bit of a pullback, and we've heard as of recently that they're going to be producing an internal combustion engine version of this vehicle. Now, it's clear that the one they were showing off was the EV version, or at least perhaps the one that had the rear end photo was the EV version, whereas the other one that showed the front end of the car was the gas version. We don't really know exactly, but we do see on the driver's side there's either a charge port or a fuel door located near the back. So it could be either one of those, or it could be both the internal combustion and the EV version that they showed off in their photos, just in a very similar color. Now, there's also a chance that maybe the exhaust ports are really just tucked in so tight that you can't actually see them in the photo, especially because it's kind of a dark background. But I think it's more likely that they were showing off the EV version than the gas version, but I guess time will tell. Now, the rumors of having an internal combustion engine have more so been validated over time, because there was a photo that leaked of this Daytona Banshee concept car in its full frame, and there was actually a transmission tunnel molded into the metal work of the vehicle. And so it's very likely that they're going to create two different types of trims, one that's electric and probably more expensive, more powerful, kind of their flagship model, and then there's going to be a more entry-level one that's going to have a internal combustion engine, perhaps some sort of hybridization. And that model is probably going to have Stellantis's 3.0 liter Hurricane engine. I've talked about this in previous videos. There's various different tunes of that engine. There's even a 2-liter Hurricane engine as well that they might utilize. They use it in other Alfa Romeo products. So that's likely going to be the variety of different trim levels for this vehicle. But at this point, we really are speculating. These are just educated guesses based on the information that's leaked out on the web. Now, of course, the comments are absolutely crazy on this model, and I'm sure the comments on this video are going to be crazy. A lot of people are hating the way this thing looks, and I think the biggest reason why that is because they think it's going to be 100% electric, or even a tad bit electric, right? The fact that the V8 is completely gone, the Hemi engine is gone, is the reason that people are very upset. And I think, that's a very big concern for Dodge. They really are alienating their customer base, because V8s, Hemis, that is core to the Dodge brand. And without either one of those really being in the lineup going forward, I think people were very upset, and you could see that in the comments. Now, I don't think people should make judgments or decisions based off what people say in comments, because people tend to be keyboard warriors and type things that they normally wouldn't think or even say in person, just to stir up some controversy and just to make their opinions known. But I do think that there is some point there to be had about the fact that where is Dodge going? Are they going to be able to attract customers outside of the traditional Dodge customer base to purchase some of these vehicles? And I just don't know the answer to that. It really depends on the price point, on what features they offer, the performance, the power. What are they doing to differentiate themselves from the Mustangs of the world, or maybe even the Corvettes of the world? Because they got to make their own mark without having a Hemi engine inside. Perhaps they could have invested some money in creating some sort of V6 Hemi that they could have utilized for their future generation. That brand, the Hemi name, is very important in Dodge's lineup, and they're not going to have that anymore. And so it's a big question as to what's going to happen with the brand in the next year. So there you have it, folks. That is pretty much all the information we have. Of course, we don't know anything about the power output. We don't know what kind of range this thing is going to have, whether it's really going to come with that Hurricane crate engine, but I figured this would be an interesting video to bring to all of you, because maybe some of you haven't seen the posts on their social media. Check it out. It's just Dodge Official on Instagram and on Facebook. You can check it out, see what you think of it, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I still think it's pretty good. I'd like to see it in person, but my initial reaction isn't hating it. It's not like the Cybertruck, where when I saw that, I immediately disliked it. This thing, it looks muscular. To me, it looks very similar, like a modern version of a 1969 Charger, and so I'm optimistic about the future, but I want to know all the information. But let me know your thoughts on the Dodge Charger Daytona that they showed off today in the pre-production model, and do you like it more than the outgoing Charger and Challenger? Well, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly car videos. Also, check me out on all the social media at Schwazy_. Until next time, everybody, I hope you stay Schwazy, stay healthy, have a wonderful day.